Who's actually going to get the most out of a 4-bay, 80 terabytes NAS? And who can safely walk away? If you're wondering whether the price makes sense for a typical office that just needs a reliable file share, or if you're a creative studio that lives for terabytes of raw footage, this is the question we need to answer right away. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you first see a unit that ships with 420 terabytes drives already installed, it feels like a shortcut to big data without the headache of buying drives separately. But the reality of that shortcut is a mix of convenience and hidden trade-offs. The Buffalo TeraStation 5420DN markets itself as a business-grade storage server, and the first thing I asked myself was, do I really need a dedicated 10 GB line and RAID 5 protection for my everyday files? Or am I paying for features I'll never touch? Let's start with the kind of environment where this box shines. Imagine a small video production company that pulls together 4K cameras each day, generating roughly 1.5 terabytes of raw media per shoot. They need a place where editors can drop the footage, start transcoding, and keep a copy for archiving without waiting for a slow network transfer. Plug the TeraStation into a 10 GB switch, map a shared folder, and you're moving those massive files at nearline speeds. In real-world tests, the native 10 GB port shaves hours off what would otherwise be an overnight copy on a regular gigabit network. That speed isn't just a bragging right. It translates into tighter turnaround times for clients and less downtime for the editing suite. The next practical win is the built-in RAID 5 configuration that ships the unit with. You get 60 terabytes of usable space while the array protects you against a single drive failure. For a business that can't afford to lose a day's worth of footage, the automatic rebuild process is a safety net. The TeraStation also offers snapshot capabilities that let you roll back to a previous version of a file within minutes. In a scenario where a designer accidentally overwrites a master artwork, those snapshots become a lifesaver. No need to dig through backup tapes or external drives. Now, let's talk about the people who should probably look elsewhere. First, the average home user who keeps a few hundred gigabytes of photos, movies, and documents will find the price tag of an 80 terabyte system hard to justify. Even if you never fill the drives, you're still paying for the chassis, the 10 GB controller, and the enterprise-grade firmware. Second, if your office network is still on 1 GB, you won't see the speed advantage that the TeraStation touts. Upgrading to a 10 GB switch and compatible NCs can add another few $1,000s to the bill, which defeats the purpose of buying a fast NAS in the first place. A hidden downside that often slips under the radar is the rebuild time for RAID 5 when you replace a failed drive. With 420 terabytes disks, a full rebuild can take well over 24 hours, depending on how busy the unit is serving users. During that window, the array is vulnerable to a second drive failure, and performance can dip noticeably. If you need higher redundancy, you'd have to look at RAID 6 or a different chassis that supports more drives, which the 5420DN doesn't provide out of the box. Another practical consideration is the management interface. Buffalo's web console is packed with options, setting up iSCSI targets, configuring cloud sync, scheduling snapshots, and fine-tuning network settings. For someone with a basic IT background, the learning curve is manageable, but a small business without a dedicated admin may find the initial configuration more involved than a plug-and-play consumer NAS. The documentation is decent, yet you'll spend a few hours in the first week just to lock down permissions, create user groups, and test the cloud sync with Dropbox or Azure. Speaking of cloud sync, that feature is a double-edged sword. On the plus side, you can mirror critical folders to Amazon S3 or Microsoft Azure, giving you an off-site backup without buying separate software. On the minus side, the bandwidth consumption can be significant if you're constantly syncing terabytes of data. You'll need a reliable internet connection and a clear policy about which folders actually need that extra redundancy. In many cases, a local snapshot combined with periodic external backup is enough, and the cloud sync becomes an optional luxury rather than a necessity. If you're a small